Always great catching up with my next guest. Julio Arce is back in action. Montel Jackson, UFC 281 in New York, November 12th. Doesn't get much better than this. Julio, how are you, man?
Dude, I am freaking great. Training has been amazing, and it's like, oh, it's crazy because time is flying. So we're getting closer and closer and closer, and next, in the blink of an eye, it's gonna be fight day.
Yeah, no, we're certainly excited for that. We haven't seen you fight in since April. Was this by design? Were you always planning on fighting on the New York card, or take me through sort of how this all came together?
So after April, I wanted to fight again as soon as possible, and I know I was trying to shoot for the Long Island card with where Shane had his last fight, and we're going for that, but they couldn't find anybody. Then I was like, okay, what's the one after that? I think it was a fight night in Vegas, and no luck with that. I was trying to fight in Paris. I'm like, yo, I'll fly to Paris. Like, let me just keep this going. And there was no luck with that. And then it's like, all right, MSG. It's like, let's shoot for it. And part of me, I'm like, I hope they find somebody, because honestly, like, it's been just like people just been active nonstop. So next, I'm like, all right, we got somebody for you. We got Montel Jackson, and I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's do it. And of course, at home, so it's even better.
Yeah. I guess you probably like fighting in New York, I would imagine. Some fighters don't, like Chris Weidman, for example, hasn't really gone in his favor, but I guess you're someone that does get pumped up for this.
I just want to be active, and I just want to be, fight. I just want to stay active and fight. That's it.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. Let's talk about that last win. Looking even better after what he did in his last fight. Daniel Santos, you get the decision there. Just how satisfying was that victory? Because I know, obviously, he was an up-and-comer and a dangerous opponent.
Yeah, you know what? Look, it's like I watched that fight, and I was like, damn, this dude ate like 2 head kicks. He got rocked, and then he comes back and finishes the fight. I'm like, good for him. And it just like it raises me up more. So like, it just makes me look better. So I'm very happy that he got his first UFC win. Said it wasn't going to be against me, but he got his first UFC win. So
let's talk about Jackson, another up-and-comer, so to speak, right? He's 11-2 record. Big guy for the weight class. How do you feel like you match up against him here?
I always get all the tall people.
Yeah, I know it's true. Yeah.
No, it's southpaw versus southpaw. So, it's a very calculated chess match, but, like, we match up well. And, look, he's an up-and-comer, and, hey, it's an opponent. It's the person that I have to fight and have to get through to be able to move forward. So I'm glad I have an opponent, and everything will be done in the cage.
Do you bring anyone in for a guy that's that big, or do you just sort of work with the same guys? I mean, you used to fight at featherweight, so you're a pretty big guy yourself for the weight class.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. But look, we've had a bunch of lefties coming in for sparring, for MMA sparring, for boxing, and who have a significantly long reach as him. So, we work our game plan, and every time it's like sparring, it's sparring sessions, we implement that game plan. So then it's just like, boom, there. Right. So, and he's I think Montel Jackson's the type that likes to kind of lull you to sleep and then fires off a fast left hand. So it's like, we watch a lot of his tapes, we watch a lot of everything that he does. So, we're going to be prepared for this.
Anything different for this camp outside of maybe, working with some lefties, like you said, usual cast of characters, Shane Burgos, Jimmy Rivera, the usual crew there at Tiger Schulman's?
Yeah, they're always there. So, wrestling wise, grappling wise, we're always just like pushing the pace. And for sparring wise, I've got a bunch of lefties who, I've shown up to help. So it's been great.
That's awesome. How cool is it seeing everything that Shane's getting, going to PFL? Everyone's making a big, like, it's cool to see him get recognized like that and get the big contract over there. You guys must be thrilled for him.
Oh my God, I'm so freaking happy for him. I mean, like, he deserves it. He deserves like every bit of the stuff that he gets. Dude works hard. He's a family man. He's got 2 kids. He's like, he freaking puts his life on the line every time he fights. So I'm super pumped for him and glad to see him just like skyrocketing the way that he is. He deserves it.
And to hear Dana White say, maybe this was a mistake that we didn't get to re-sign him. Like, you don't hear Dana say that too often. It's just cool to see him get the recognition, which again also reflects on your team as a whole, I think.
Yeah, it's great because Shane did it the right way. Look, every fight he gave it everything. He gave it everything. Doesn't matter what the outcome was. He gave it everything, and he's always respectful. He's always like, the UFC loves him. And, like when it was time, he had to make a decision that was going to be better for him and his family. And, look, unfortunately, the UFC even said they kind of like dropped the ball on that one. But you see that he was an amazing person to have in the organization. And now like he's going to do bigger and better things. So he did it right. Most people start like, when they want to leave, they'll say, this, that, and it's like it turns negative. It's like, no, Shane did it great. Like, look, he gave it his all, and like he loved being in the UFC, and now it's a bigger and better opportunity that's gonna be better for him and his family. So super fucking happy for him.
Weight cut. I know you've made weight before at 135. I remember though, like a couple of years ago when we used to do these interviews, you're like, I'm never going back to bantamweight. Now you're like a mainstay there. So how's it going? I got to ask, because I know it's never easy to cut that weight.
You know what though? It's been going great with the way our training regimen has been. It's like the weight's coming off, the weight's staying low, and just making sure that no mishaps happen. I know like a while back I was like, I'm never going to bantamweight, but when I was in bantamweight like a while back before like I went to featherweight, it was a little more. It wasn't as how would I say? It was like a little more like a little more wild trying to make the bantamweight. And like now I have Eric Pena who helps me with my nutrition. And like the weight's coming off, I'm right where I should be. So like ready to go. He helps
it's more
make,
calculated, right? By the sounds of it.
Yeah, very calculated. So he helps make it so much easier.
That's awesome, man. How's this fight playing out? One thing with Montel, really tough guy to put away.
You know what? Wherever the fight goes, that's where we're gonna take it, and we're just gonna leave it all out there. That's it. It's like I'm looking to come back and get my hand raised in victory, and just freaking put it all out there. He's an up and comer for a reason, and but I'm used to fighting all the dangerous opponents. They throw everybody on me, so I'm good. So I'm happy with that. So got an opponent, we're ready to go, and everything will happen that night.
This weekend, obviously, we got a couple big fights. We've got obviously two big ones in your division. Sean O'Malley, Petr Yan. Money's coming in on O'Malley, and I'm wondering if that's because it's a 3-round fight. But what do you think of that fight coming up?
It is a very tactical fight, and I think when I watched O'Malley fight, I think it was Pedro
Munoz,
Pedro Munoz, and like anybody, because Petr Yan is a small dude, like he's shorter. So I think O'Malley's gonna really just stick, move, and just constantly be changing his angles and making it hard for Yan to get close, right? So look, everyone doubts the kid sometimes, but like, hey, look, he makes shit happen, and he does it. So I think O'Malley's is gonna take this, but it's not gonna be easy. O'Malley by a decision.
Okay, and then obviously the co-main event is Aljamain Sterling, TJ Dillashaw, who's taking the bantamweight title.
I think Sterling's gonna take this. You know what? It's like when he had the first fight with Petr Yan, I think people were just like, they're counting him out, and all of a sudden it's like they just kept counting him out, and now it's like you see, he's like, oh, dude, he had like all these surgeries, and now he's he put a great performance to say in April. So I'm like, I think it's gonna be a 5-round war, but I think Sterling might edge it out.
Yeah, very close fight there. Speaking of fights, where does a win over Jackson put you in the grand scheme of things? Because like I said, he's an up-and-comer. He's got a good record. I know, again, you're not looking past him as an opponent, but I'm sure you're thinking of the implications of a victory here.
Yeah, I'm hoping after a victory over Jackson's, like that it puts me somewhere like close to top 15 or just like within those ranks where I can just be like, all right, let's go on to the next step.
You got a couple more fights left on your contract?
I think I have two or three left.
Gotcha.
Remember.
Oh, either way. Yeah, either way, you win, it doesn't matter, because that's, I mean, you go to the negotiating table. That always looks good, especially, like I said, you took out Santos and he looked good in his last fight, so I'm sure you take some of that momentum as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, it's like when I first fought Dan Ige, and then all of a sudden he came back and like he was surging through the rankings. Julian Erosa, which was a good one, and like I know he beat Hakeem Dawood, who I fought to a split decision. So it's like these guys have like resurgence, and I'm just like, I was in there with those guys.
Yeah.
And then Santos, look, he had a great fight, and now he's also, so it really boosts me up, and I can't wait to just get in there and fight.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to it. Before we go, downtime, you watching any Netflix? What are you getting up to? Everyone's getting into this Jeffrey Dahmer thing. Are you avoiding that like I am, or what have you been watching?
You know what? Like I watched the first episode, and to me, I'm like, it's just weird right
Yeah,
now.
that's how I feel. Like I got you know you have kids as well. I don't know. I don't really like. I know what's gonna happen. Like I know there's really gruesome stuff, him eating people. I don't need to see that. I'm good.
Yeah, like I watch. It's like, I also I tried to watch what's the one with Marilyn Monroe, Blonde. And
Oh
I'm
right,
like,
yeah.
I'm like, this is just way too dark right now. I'm like, I need a comedy. I need something to laugh at.
Yeah.
So
Hey, I got a recommendation if you want one. I've been telling all Americans this. Have you seen Trailer Park Boys?
Yes, that's
You
a
have
great
seen
show.
it. Okay,
That's
good.
a great show. I definitely
So
watch.
you know what's funny about that show? So it ran here in Canada. Obviously, it's very Canadian. It's very Maritimes Canadian, which is not quite the same as like where I live here in Vancouver. But it like didn't get a lot of good ratings. It only got better after the show, like the series had ended, and then they started doing more seasons after because it like got popular after it was off the air. It was really weird. So it's just good that like Americans appreciate it because like we love it up here now.
It's like one of those shows that's like you have to like when you first watch it, then you have to try to understand it, and then you watch it again. It's like, yo, this is hilarious. It's like watching Step Brothers.
Yes.
Step Brothers. When you watch it at first, you'd be like, you're trying to understand and you laugh a little bit, but then when you watch it again, you're like, this is hilarious. This is gold right here.
Yeah. I'll tell you what else is gold. UFC 281, November 12th. We're looking forward to it. You, Montel Jackson, Julio, always appreciate the time. If there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media, anything like that, I'll give you the last word.
As always, my team, Tiger Schulmans, I mean, going on to 21 and a half years with them. And, always thanking for everything, my family, all the people that support me. Edge Pro PT for keeping me, in one piece through fight camp, ready strong meals. Of course, Tiger Schulman's Pro Shop provided me with all the stuff I need. And, like my management paradigm, who's been freaking amazing from the moment I signed with them. So thank everybody who's just following this journey in general.